Welcome to the Addicted to Learning podcast. My name is Gabriel Horvat, and each week I get to bring you inspiring stories, lessons learned, and insights from people who forge their own paths in life. Appreciate you guys spending time with me today. Let's get right to it. This is episode number 3 with leadership coach Dr. Ana Maria Irueste-Montes. Now, the timing for this episode couldn't have been any better, really. It's early June 2020, and the United States are going through unprecedented times. I connected with Ana because I personally just want to learn more about what's happening right now in the US. And as a European who's never lived in the US, I sort of really feel lost here. But I want to understand what's happening. About Dr. Ana Maria Irueste-Montes, real quick. She is a professionally certified coach, board certified coach, as well as a psychologist licensed to practice in several US states. She's worked with Fortune 500 executives, as well as up-and-coming entrepreneurs or management consultants. I think in this episode, Ana's compassion and empathy for all people, especially the ones among us that are hurting right now, really comes through. And I can't wait to share this episode with all of you. So here's for you my talk with Dr. Ana Maria Irueste-Montes.
Thank you so much for connecting again. I just really want to learn, because I'm a European over here and I just don't have the insights that you have, having lived in the US and also with your background in psychology and leadership. How about we start like this? Where were you born, Ana?
I was born in Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a native of the Distrito Federal, which is the capital of Mexico, and they took away the Distrito Federal, which is federal district, and have just kept Mexico City. So I was born there many months ago, and I've lived in Mexico City, and then I lived in a small border town for a little while, then back in Mexico City, and then I lived in the States off and on. I did a couple of years of high school here, then went back to Mexico, did my undergraduate in Mexico City, and then came back for graduate school here in the States. I lived here in the States, then ended up having to leave the States because I was not granted permanent residence at the time. And so I had to leave. And then I reapplied again and was able this time to get permanent residence. And then eventually I became a citizen of the United States.
Okay. And you've been in the US 10, 20, more than 20 years, I think, no?
Yeah, you could say it's about half of my life.
Wow. Okay, so you're at this point Mexican American, are you not?
Yeah.
This is I am as I said earlier, my girlfriend's American, and I've always been sort of fascinated with America. Mm-hmm. And I feel like America still, to this day, is the only country on the planet where, as an immigrant, you can come to America and you can, become American.
Mm-hmm. America is a really interesting country. And one of the things that made me fall in love with this country was that it is an inspirational country. It's an aspirational and inspirational country. It looks toward the future. If you look at many cultures, they tend to focus on the past glories of the nation. Whereas the United States, except for Trump, which is the only president that I know, and I'm not a historian, that has focused his attention to the past to, make America great. So to bring back an illusionary America, which is basically is a very racist America, but is the only president that had to kind of look back, because all the other presidents have looked forward to what is our potential and, who we can become, who we can be. And I think that sense of wanting to be better, to do better, to reach for the skies is very much an American dream. That's very much what the American dream is.
Yeah, yeah. To reach for the skies, to better yourself constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Yeah.
feel like there's something lacking right now in America with that?
Yep. Well, America is a contrast city. Yeah, it really is the yin and the yang, and the best and the worst. You find the greatest and the worst, and it all is living together. And I think part of it is that what makes America great is the constant influx of immigrants. And because each immigrant brings newness to the nation, so it is, relatively speaking, a young nation. So so it is about bringing all this incredible mixture in. And I think what has happened is that we're moving away from that sense of, you are the welcoming place of everyone, to more toward, what other countries have had, which is that nationalistic, only us, and we are we're a tribe, we're a group, and no one else. Everybody else is an invader. So and Trump, unfortunately, is doing that. He's closed the borders, he's closed immigration. Really, right now, immigration, for practical sense, in my perception, has just stopped. And to me, that's like killing the golden goose hen. The story of the goose that laid the golden eggs. If you kill the goose, then you will not have any more golden eggs. And I think that is what is happening in America today, and that saddens me a lot. The other thing that attracted me to this country was, for a long time, this was the freedom of the press country. And and the freedom of the press to me was critical and important, because I came from a country, when I was growing up, that you could be incarcerated or sanctioned. For example, there's this comedian that make a joke about one of the presidents, and he was suspended for a long period of time. And I know other journalists that were suspended, that they couldn't write and for the papers. And it was different in the United States. But that's another thing that has changed, because papers have started to disappear, and they have been bought by just a few people. And so it doesn't represent the knowledge of everyone. So the internet has come to play a role. And yes, the internet has allowed us to see other aspects, but it also, because of the algorithms that they use, what you see is what they think you want to see. So you only get one-sided view of things. And I think that too has contributed to the more of the division, in addition to that the work that some of the presidents, including Nixon and Trump, of dividing the country, of You're either with me or you're against me. If you're with me, you're a patriot, and if you're against me, then you're not. And that's created more and more division. So right now we're a very polarized nation, and we need to get back to the table. We need to get back to stability. In the old days, congressmen from both sides of the aisle would get together for lunch, for dinner, and interchange and become friends. And now, if you do that, you get sanctioned by the other side. So it makes it hard to find common ground and come together. So, I think that right now, with what is happening right now, I'm hopeful that people are starting to talk about race, which has not been a thing that people have been comfortable to talk about. But maybe if we start to talk about race, we will start to be able to talk about other issues that unite us rather than separate us. The best antidote to prejudice is to get to know people that are different from you and get to know them as human beings. Because the moment you do that, then that all those stereotypes and all those preconceptions start to fall off.
Yeah. 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 I mean, we're all just, human beings. We're all, it sounds so cliche, but we're all the same. We're all humans on this planet.
Yeah, we want the same things. Yeah, we want our families to be safe. We want to be able to feed our kids. We want them to do better than we do. We want to be able to have them be educated, and for us to be able to have a decent living.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like there's just so much polarization going on, and it's like, yeah, you're either with me or you're against me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you said, it's like almost like it's not even an option to like discuss, sit at the table together and come up with a reasonable solution for everyone and work through the problems. No, it's like either you love me or you hate me, sort of.
Yeah, and I think part of it is that when people, when I work with with people in organizations, or one of the problems is that when people have conflict is because they feel that one of their core values, their principal values, has been violated, and so then they react rather than act. So one of the first things is to really take the time to listen and to really communicate effectively. And that means to really spell out, what does this particular value, how do you define this particular value? For example, you say, he's disrespecting me. Well, because he always comes late to work. And for you, part of showing respect is to be on time. Because to you, that shows that you care about the other person. But this other person is saying, what are you talking about? I respect you all the time. I'm polite with you. I let you talk. I give you your turn. I, acknowledge you. I validate you. So I'm respecting you. But time is not part of, if I'm late, it has nothing to do with disrespecting you. It has to do maybe with my inability to see time in the same dimensions that you do. So it's not until when people are able to have that conversation that they can begin to understand each other. And then you can begin to say, okay, what can I do that can be different, that will honor you? And what can you do on your part to understand where I'm coming from? And then that's where we begin to have those solutions, those dialogues. And there are groups already that are starting to do that more. that are bringing together people from opposite sides to begin those conversations. But there's so much more work to do. And right now, the problem too is that unfortunately, Trump instigates that division. He promotes that division. He creates chaos and makes it more difficult than to have these kinds of dialogues.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, and how which core values are being attacked, I think might be a good word to use here on both sides right now. Maybe that's a
Well,
good question.
let me reframe your question. Let's look at, what are some the things that are important for the conservatives and the and
Mm-hmm.
the Democrats.
Yeah.
On the conservative side, they want lower taxes, free market, capitalism, the regulation of corporations, restricting labor unions, gun rights. It's about preserving the institutions like religion, uh, um, property rights, the right to bear arms. They want social stability, but they want the least interference of government in the process. It's about my individual rights, and protecting those individual and property rights. On the other side, the Democrats value egalitarianism, social equality, to protect the environment, to strengthen the social safety net, protecting minority rights, multiculturalism, and keeping separated church and state. So we see one is about law and order, and the other one is about justice. And so again, is how you look at it, how you define it, how you understand it, and how can we find that common ground. Sometimes we're not able to see the world in the same way, but we need to find what's something that we both agree on. For example, on the issue of abortion, on one side, there's those that say, it's my right. I have the right to decide on my body. And then the other side is saying, no, you don't have that right because you're already killing someone. So we're not going to come together on that, but maybe we can come to a middle one, which is we want to protect children. We want what's best for children. So let's work on that, because as we work on that, maybe we can begin to move closer to where people are and help bridge that understanding between one and the other one, and accept and respect those differences without feeling that you have been violated as a person.
Yeah. It's interesting that obviously right now there seems to be this conflict between I hate to say it, white people and Black people.
Mm-hmm. And again, Trump has contributed, because right from the beginning, even before he got elected, it was all about it was all about protecting those white rights, and that and minorities were portrayed as thugs. All brown people, like Mexicans, Hispanics, are portrayed as rapers, gang members. So he talks about the common white people. he foments fear and promotes fear. You know, he says, he would say things like, in the old days, we wouldn't be so nice when speaking about a Black person. So that constant, and he's a great marketer, because he's not a leader, but he's a great marketer. He really knows how to use fear effectively. And marketers know about fear. Marketers know how to use fear effectively. And he is a master at using fear effectively. So it is for his own benefit and that he promotes that, because then he also reinforces his base, and we're the law and order folks, and we are going to preserve our values. We are going to preserve our that ability to go to church and pray. And everybody else wants to take that away from you. They want to take your guns, your ability to protect yourself. And so he really feeds on that fear. And the funny thing is, for example, talking about the guns, the reality, how it got so big is that, Colt, which was one of the first builders of guns, saw that they were selling less guns as people moved to cities away from the countryside.
No way.
So they created this campaign about guns as part of the Second Amendment and being patriotic. So that's how it started, and so, whereas the Constitution says about this is about having, when it talks about a militia, it's talking about like the guards, like the folks that are part of the can come in into the and support the military. But
the National Guard.
Yes, National Guard. Thank you. And that's the word I wanted to come up with. But it all started as a marketing scheme from Colt, and it has evolved to a fight about my right to bear arms, my right to defend myself. So and like I said, Trump is a master. He repeats the same message. He uses the same words, and we know memory requires that we repeat the message, we repeat the same words, and little by little, then it becomes unconsciously part of what we believe.
Well, on the topic of Trump being a marketer, and I would add also a master salesman. He just knows how to push all the right buttons. That's what it seems like, to just elicit a reaction from people. And this is also one of the things they say in marketing, any sort of radical reaction you elicit in someone is better than no reaction. So you essentially want to polarize, because that's how you attract attention. And he's sure gotten a lot of attention.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
I said, but when it comes to leadership, in terms of building trust, in terms of being consistent and reliable, in terms of having a vision, a real clear vision, in terms of helping people find meaning, except for his small base, he doesn't do it for the nation, we know that listening, active listening is an important part of being a leader. And empathy is an important part of being a leader, and strategic thinking is an important part of being a leader. And plan ahead. All of those are not things that we see in Trump. We do see that he wants people to align with him, because in my own personal perception, and that's my my perception, is that his values are loyalty, but not loyalty to the country, it's just loyalty to him. His value is to be number one. It doesn't matter if he has no morality in the process of getting to be number one. And vengeance. I think, he has talked about vengeance, how to suppress the enemy, whether it's in marketing, whether it's in life. And we see him, he's very vindictive to those that contradict him. He's vindictive toward the press. He's vindictive toward others. So, like I said, as a leader, he's not a good example of the exemplary leaders that we want to see. But as a marketer, he's effective.
Who would be maybe, whether someone right now or maybe someone, from the past, from history, who would you say is or was a great leader?
Well, in terms of people that I see as that really have, and the people right now, I think Elizabeth Warren, even though, again, as a land of contrast, we're the most advanced in some areas, and we have not been able, and we've been fairly backwards in terms of electing women. But I think Elizabeth Warren is really a good example of someone that has a clear vision, has a clear plan, knows what steps to take to implement them, that are she's able to listen, to incorporate, to compromise, to inspire. I think that she definitely has a lot of the leadership skills and leadership qualities, and she is moral, ethical, and whereas Trump in my book has no sense of morality. I wouldn't say he's immoral, because I think he's more amoral. He just doesn't have any morals.
And again, sort of like taking maybe like the bird's eye view, because it's just like so difficult to really get a feel for what's happening in the US from afar, because as you said, there's so much polarization going on and so many biases everywhere, constantly, people, looking for, so much. I guess the nice way of putting it would be to say there's lots of confirmation bias going on right now.
Yeah.
That would be the nice way for people that don't know confirmation bias. No, maybe you want to explain it.
Well, we all have assumptions and biases, and it is important to look at what those are, and we look for what confirms, what supports our bias. So I might say, I'm clumsy, and I'm able to take my tray of dishes 99% of the time to the sink without any incident. But the 100th time, I drop things. And then I say, see, I told you, you're a really clumsy person. So we only notice those things that support those biases that we already have. So that's why it's so important to look at what are our beliefs and what are our biases. And beliefs are the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and how the world works. And they are stories, but then, some of them happen early, and we assume that they are us. So we need to revise them and see if they are limiting our progress or facilitating our progress. And in terms of biases, I think that we really need to look at, what are those biases? I think that, there's a test that is called implicit bias that was put out by Harvard, that by the University of Harvard. It's free. You can Google it. You can go in there and you can take it and discover what are your biases so that you bring them up to the front. Because if we don't know what biases we have, we cannot change them. So we need to help ourselves become more aware of what our beliefs are, what our biases are, what our assumptions are, and check them out. Really check them out, and then like I said, if it's a belief and it was useful up till now, we say thank you, but then we let it go. It's like having a size 3 shoe, but now I'm a size 7. I'll tell people, it's not that belief is not going to allow you to do the same things now that your feet are a size 7. Just like if you're still wearing size 3, you're not going to be able to walk and run with the same effectiveness as if you were a size 7. So you need to think that that belief, and substitute it because it's limiting you rather than facilitating your progress. And the same is true for biases. The same is true, for beliefs.
Yeah, absolutely. So as your role as a executive coach to executives, management consultants, really, I think all kinds of people that you have the pleasure of working with over the years.
Mm-hmm.
What are the biggest sort of like patterns, or maybe the top 2-3 things that people come to you with the most? I'm sure you've seen a lot of patterns over the years.
Yeah, well, the main problem, whether it's a small business or a larger business, it's communication.
Mm-hmm.
Communication. Really active listening, and active listening means more than hearing. It really means to listen, to connect, listen to understand. Because there's different levels of communication. One is a simple exchange of information. Where is N Street? Oh, 2 blocks to the left and 1 to the right, and you're there. So that's simply exchange of information. Then is when we start to listen to the other one, and we're listening to understand, but also to kind of convince the other person to see the world as we see it, because each one of us sees the world differently. And the problem is that we're addicted to being right. My version is the right version. And so when we get stuck in that level, then we stop really moving forward toward really integrating all the ideas and really maybe come up with a third or better solution between both, or a way that we can work better together. So it's about really taking the time to listen, to connect, and to really reframe, ask things in a different way, check assumptions and see, why am I reacting this? What assumptions am I making with the information I have? What other information do I need to make more progress? The other things are, people come to me is to become more self-aware of themselves. It's, they want to make progress, but they are finding themselves stuck because of the assumptions and that they are making and limitations that they are putting on themselves. So you want to help them look at, okay, let's explore that. You know, what's keeping you from reaching your goals? And many times is inside our head more than outside obstacles that are occurring there. And then, you know, thirdly is, you know, they want to move further. They want to grow further, be more effective in what they do. So it's helping them understand what their strengths are and how to leverage those strengths to help themselves, how to use their emotional intelligence, how to use one aspect of their emotional intelligence to help them balance another aspect that they might be having some problems and are not as strong in. So those are the kinds of things that people come to me for.
Yeah, it's like the tried and no, not tried and true, but you know, I'm just thinking about self-sabotage and holding yourself back, and you know, that certainly I've had a lot of in my life. Not gonna lie.
We all do. We're
Yeah,
human.
yeah. uh, yeah, it's so refreshing to hear that, you know, even those, you know, big successful, you know, people that we look up to, you know, Fortune 500 executives, for example, that, you know, they're struggling with the same issues at the end of the day.
Yeah. The imposter syndrome, you know, and they're gonna find out that I'm, you know, that I don't have all the information, that I'm not the expert, that I've been faking it all along. And you know, the reality is that none of us can be experts. Because there's always more even especially today, there's always more information than anybody can fit in their brain. You know, you need to shift things, and instead of looking as yourself as the imposter because you want to be the expert, is move yourself out of the expert role and put yourself back into the learner's role. You know, because we're all learning, and no one expects that the learner will have all the answers because none of us do. We're always in the process of learning. So if you just make that simple shift in the words you use and the way you think, it makes a world of difference.
You literally have me smiling sitting here while listening to you. Oh, that is the perfect thing to end this podcast on. You know, we're all learners. To you know, to, to assume the role of a perpetual learner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. Do you have any parting words? Something you want to ask people to do? Anything that comes to mind at all?
I think, one, you know, I believe in gratitude. And I think that when we see the world from the perspective of gratitude, the world is a very different world. And I think that we need to be more grateful in this world. And we can be grateful for you know, anything, you know, for the fact that we woke up today, for the fact that I can sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee leisurely, where many people in the world are not able to do that. And the other thing is, you know, become aware of what your core values are. Because when we live and practice our core values, that is when we are the happiest and when we feel the most fulfilled. So know what those core values are and ask yourself at the end of the day, how did I honor my values today?
Oh, oh, that's so beautiful. Wow. Wow. And I just spilled my water. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
It's so beautiful. I spilled my water, but I really did. But it's just water, so I'll leave it. uh, Oh, Anna, thank you so much for connecting and for talking and for providing insights today. I really appreciate it.
It's been my privilege, and I wish you the best, and I wish all your listeners the best.
Thank you so much, Anna. Talk soon, and you have a beautiful sunny day in California.
I will, and you have a beautiful night, I think.
That's true. Thank you. Talk soon. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.